Welcome to Next Chapter Retirement, the podcast where we discuss smart strategies for building and protecting wealth, health, and well-being, helping retirees shape their next chapter into the best chapter. I'm your host, Mark Erickson, and each week we help you navigate the big decisions that shape your future, from health and financial planning to Medicare and lifestyle design and everything in between. Let's dive in.
Imagine walking away from roughly $10,000 every single year,
Right.
like for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And simply because you checked a box on a government form on your 62nd birthday instead of just, waiting a few years.
It's wild, but it happens.
It sounds totally absurd, but hundreds of thousands of people are making this exact, irreversible decision every year.
They are. It is a permanent lifetime discount that they are just voluntarily giving back to the government.
Mm-hmm.
And the real tragedy is, well, they often think they're making the smart conservative choice.
Right, because of all the rumors.
Exactly. The math behind these programs is actually incredibly predictable, if you know where to look. But the sheer volume of rumors, the complex bureaucracy, and those sensationalized headlines.
Oh, the headlines are everywhere.
Right. It pushes highly intelligent people into these totally panic-based choices.
Which is exactly why we are doing this today. So welcome to the deep dive, everyone. Today is all about navigating that specific minefield.
Yeah, it's a big one.
We are pulling from this really extensive set of financial strategy notes. It's actually a draft script from the Next Chapter Retirement podcast.
Yep, dated August 24th, 2026.
Right. So our mission today is to essentially help you cut through the jargon, the panic, all of it, to extract a really clear, actionable playbook for foundational retirement decisions.
And specifically the timing around Social Security and Medicare.
Yes. Okay, let's unpack this, because before anyone can make a decision on when to claim, I feel like we have to establish the baseline of how these benefits are actually calculated.
You absolutely do. You can't break the rules until you understand them. So the anchor for everything in this system is your full retirement age.
The FRA.
Right, the FRA. Now, for anyone born in 1960 or later, that age is exactly 67.
Okay, 67.
That's the baseline, where you receive 100% of the benefit you've earned from all your working years.
Okay, so everything else is just a calculation either subtracting from or adding to that specific age 67 baseline.
Precisely.
Okay, so knowing that baseline makes the early claiming penalty look, well, incredibly severe.
It really is.
Because the early window opens at 62, right? And the source material notes that claiming at 62 triggers a permanent 30% reduction.
A permanent 30% cut.
And I want to highlight that. That is not a temporary penalty until you hit your full retirement age.
No, you are locked in. A massive chunk of your earned benefit is just gone forever.
Wow.
And conversely, we have delayed retirement credit.
Okay, how do those work?
So waiting past your FRA of 67 essentially forces the government to pay you to be patient. You earn an 8% increase for every single year you delay.
Up to age 70, right?
Right, up to 70. Mathematically, it works out to 2/3 of 1% every month.
Oh, wow.
But at 70, that growth just stops. There is absolutely zero incentive to wait until 71.
So 70 is the absolute ceiling.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's bring in the cost of living adjustment, the KOA.
Ah, yes, the KOA.
Because this is where the math really starts to compound, right? The sources say for 2026, the CLLA is 2.8%.
Right.
So the way I try to simplify this, think of your benefit like a snowball rolling down a hill.
I like that analogy.
Thanks. So the CLLA applies to everyone no matter when you claimed. But a bigger snowball, the one you get by holding out until 70, that gathers more snow much faster than a small one.
It really does. The compounding effect is just profound over a 20-year retirement.
Yeah.
A 2.8% increase on a maximized age 70 benefit, well, that puts significantly more actual dollars in your pocket than a 2.8% increase on a heavily reduced age 62 benefit.
Right, because it's a percentage of a bigger number.
Exactly. The gap between the person who claimed early and the person who waited, it doesn't stay static. It actually widens in real dollar terms every single year.
Because you are compounding a larger base.
Got it.
So the sources highlight the stark reality of this gap. I mean, the numbers are crazy.
Let's hear them.
The average check for a 62-year-old claimant is around $1,377 a month.
Okay.
But the average for a 70-year-old is $2,188.
That's a huge difference.
It's an $800 monthly difference. We're talking nearly 10 grand a year.
Right.
Yet, despite this overwhelming mathematical advantage for delaying, the data shows fewer than 1 in 10 people actually wait until 70.
It's really surprising.
And looking at the fiscal year 2025 data, there was actually a 15% surge in claims at age 62.
Yeah.
And specifically among higher earners, which is wild to me.
Well, that demographic detail is kind of the behavioral mystery here.
Oh, so?
Well, high earners generally have other assets to bridge the gap. They don't mathematically need to claim at 62 to survive.
Right, they have savings.
Exactly. So the driver here is fear. Specifically, it's fear of program insolvency, which is fueled by headlines surrounding the 2026 trustees report.
Right. People read that the trust fund is running out.
Exactly. And the instinct is to just grab whatever cash they can before the whole system collapses.
Okay, let's break down what that 2026 trustees report actually says then, because I feel like the gap between the headlines and the reality is massive here.
It really is.
So the report projects that the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Fund, the main retirement trust fund, will deplete its reserves in the fourth quarter of 2032.
Right.
And then combined with the disability fund, the date moves to 2034.
Yes. But the word deplete is doing a lot of heavy lifting in those headlines.
Yeah, people hear deplete and think bankrupt.
Exactly. Depletion of the reserves absolutely does not mean the program goes to zero.
Right.
Social Security does not run on a static pile of money. It operates primarily on ongoing payroll taxes from current workers.
The money coming in right now.
Right. The report projects that even if Congress did absolutely nothing to fix the shortfall, ongoing tax revenues would still cover 78% of scheduled benefits in 2032.
Okay, 78%.
And with the combined funds, it's 83%. Plus, if we look at historical context, in 1983, the program was much closer to the edge, and Congress acted because of massive political pressure.
Well, to remain completely impartial, we really don't know what Congress will do.
That's true.
I mean, they could freeze or they could implement a fix. But the math of the panic claim is what's so fascinating to me.
It is.
Taking the benefit at 62 means you are voluntarily locking in a guaranteed permanent 30% cut today.
Right.
Just to protect yourself against a potential 22% cut 6 years from now.
Exactly. It is paying a massive premium to guarantee a loss.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Isn't something better than nothing? Like, if someone genuinely just doesn't trust Washington to fix it, isn't grabbing the money at 62 the safest emotional bet?
Well, emotional bets make for terrible permanent financial policy.
Fair point.
Think about the math. Even if an across-the-board 22% cut materialized in 2032, holding out for the maximized age 70 benefit means you'd be receiving 78% of a much larger pie.
Oh, I see.
Right. It still mathematically beats 78% of the already reduced age 62 benefit.
Okay. Yeah, it's essentially the definition of buying high and selling low just to soothe your own anxiety.
Exactly. You're cannibalizing your own longevity protection.
Wow. Okay, but fear of insolvency isn't the only trap here.
No, not at all.
Let's look at the people who simply hit 62 and they just file for benefits by default while they're still working their career jobs.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they step blindly into an incredibly punitive mechanism called the earnings test.
The earnings test catches an unbelievable number of working professionals completely off guard.
I bet.
If you claim Social Security before your full retirement age of 67 and you continue to earn a salary, the government places a strict limit on how much you can make.
And what is that limit for 2026?
For 2026, that limit is $24,480.
Which is very low for someone still in the prime of their earning years.
Extremely low.
So if a 63-year-old executive, say, claims their early benefit, but continues making $150,000 a year,
Right.
they are blowing past that limit by over $125,000.
Right. And the penalty is brutal. Social Security withholds $1 in benefits for every $2 earned over that limit.
Wow.
So in your executive scenario, Social Security would withhold roughly $62,000 in benefits.
Wait, really?
Yeah. The reality is that executive wouldn't receive a single dime from Social Security for the entire year. Their checks would be completely withheld.
Oh my gosh. So claiming early while you have a good salary is essentially putting your own benefit into a government time capsule you can't open for years?
That's exactly it.
All while locking in a permanently lower rate.
Right. The time capsule analogy is highly accurate because it acts like an interest-free loan to the government.
Jeez.
Now, to be completely factual, the withheld money isn't legally forfeited forever.
Okay, well, that's somewhat good news.
Right. Once you reach your full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit to slowly credit those withheld months back to you.
I see.
They also loosen the rules in the actual calendar year you turn 67. The limit jumps to $65,160.
Okay.
And the penalty drops to $1 for every 3 over.
Uh-huh.
And then once you officially hit 67, the earnings test vanishes entirely.
Okay, but even with the eventual recalculation, the damage of the early claim remains intact, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you eventually get the withheld dollars back, but you never escape the underlying 30% early claiming reduction.
Exactly. The baseline was permanently damaged the moment you filed the paperwork at 62.
Wow.
Which is why financial professionals universally warn against claiming early if you're still working a high-paying job.
Yeah, I mean, the earnings test alone should be the deterrent that forces people to delay until they actually retire.
It really should be.
Okay, so let's assume someone avoids the panic claim. They avoid the earnings test trap,
Good for them.
and they are fully committed to delaying. They invariably run into the next major psychological hurdle,
Which is
the break-even obsession.
right.
People look at the cumulative math and they think, well, if I delay until 70, but I get hit by a bus at 72, I leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. The break-even calculator is basically a fixture of retirement planning,
Right?
but it fundamentally encourages a gambling mindset. The
Yeah.
crossover point, where the total lifetime dollars from delaying finally overtakes the dollars from claiming early, that generally lands around age 80 or 81.
Okay.
So if you possessed a crystal ball guaranteeing you wouldn't live past 80, sure, claiming at 62 would be the mathematical winner.
But since crystal balls don't exist, treating this like a casino payout is super dangerous.
It really is.
And the sources reframe this beautifully, I thought. They move it from a return on investment perspective to a risk management perspective.
Exactly. Dying at 72 is obviously a profound human tragedy, but mathematically, it is not a financial risk.
Because you are no longer here to run out of money.
Right. The most severe financial risk you actually face in retirement is living to 95 and outliving your portfolio.
Wow. Yeah.
Waiting until 70 isn't about beating the casino. It acts as longevity insurance.
Longevity insurance. I love that term.
Yeah. It provides a maximized, guaranteed, inflation-adjusted income stream that you fundamentally cannot outlive.
That reframing really changes the entire complexion of the decision.
It does.
And I feel like the stakes increase exponentially when we look at married couples.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we tend to view retirement claiming as this individual sport. But the survivor benefit dynamic means one spouse's decision directly dictates the other's long-term security.
It is arguably the most critical and least understood dynamic in the entire system.
Really? Break that down for us.
Well, when one spouse passes away, the surviving spouse does not get to keep both Social Security checks. The household drops to a single check. The survivor keeps whichever of the 2 checks was larger, and the smaller one just disappears completely.
Wow. So I just had a major aha moment reading this.
Oh, yeah.
If I am the higher earner in my marriage, my choice of when to claim actually isn't about funding my own retirement.
Yep.
It's a long-term strategy for my spouse's future grocery budget.
Exactly. The higher earner's claiming age establishes the financial reality for the widow or widower.
Right.
Statistically, a surviving spouse might live 5, 10, or even 15 years on that single remaining check.
Which is a long time to live on a reduced income.
Right. And if the higher earner claimed at 62 out of fear of insolvency, well, they permanently slash the survivor benefit their spouse will eventually rely on.
Oh, man.
But waiting until 70 permanently maximizes that safety net.
When you look at it through the lens of spousal protection, taking the 30% cut at 62 just to satisfy some break-even calculation feels incredibly short-sighted.
It really does.
You are basically gambling with the heating bill of the person you leave behind.
Yeah. It shifts the decision from a spreadsheet calculation to a core family protection strategy.
Wow.
It becomes all about securing the household's baseline against the absolute worst-case scenarios, like extreme longevity and widowhood.
Okay, so let's follow this thread. A listener takes all this in, right? They decide to be patient,
Good.
they protect their spouse, and they delay Social Security until 70. They're playing the game perfectly.
Right.
But ironically, that exact patience arms a hidden tripwire in a completely different government program.
The Medicare collision course.
Yes.
Yeah.
The bureaucracy here is just staggering.
It is. The golden rule to internalize here is that Medicare and Social Security are completely separate decisions.
Okay.
They operate on completely separate clocks, even though they are inextricably linked administratively.
But that administrative link is exactly what creates the trap.
Yep.
Because you literally apply for Medicare through the Social Security Administration's website, which totally lulls people into a false sense of security.
It really does. If someone claims Social Security early, say at 62, their Medicare Parts A and B enrollment at 65 is automatic.
The card just appears in the mail.
Exactly. And the Part B premium, which is $202.90 a month in 2026, is smoothly deducted from their check.
Okay, but if you take our advice and you delay Social Security past 65...
then Medicare does not know you exist.
Unbelievable.
Enrollment is no longer automatic. You have to manually enroll during a strict 7-month window surrounding your 65th birthday.
And if someone just assumes it's automatic, they miss the window and they forget to file.
The penalty is severe and permanent.
Oh, bad.
You are hit with a 10% penalty on your Part B premium for each full year you were late in enrolling.
Oh, my goodness.
And that penalty doesn't fall off after a few years. It lasts for the rest of your life.
I'm exasperated on behalf of the listener. It is maddening.
It's very frustrating.
Why would these programs be administratively run by the government, but put on highly punitive, totally disjointed timelines?
I know.
It feels like the system is almost designed to trick the exact people who are trying to be responsible by delaying their claims.
The administrative structure is definitely unforgiving. There is a specific exception, though. If you are over 65 and still actively working at a company with 20 or more employees,
okay,
and you remain covered by their group health plan. But outside of that very specific carve-out, you cannot ignore your 65th birthday.
Okay, the source notes actually call this the red ink rule.
The red ink rule.
Yeah, take a red marker and literally circle your 65th birthday on the calendar.
That is great advice.
No matter what your Social Security strategy is, your Medicare clock demands attention at 65.
Absolutely.
And for high earners, we also have to briefly mention IRA, right? The income-related monthly adjustment amount.
Oh, yes. IRMAA.
These are surcharges on your Medicare premiums based on your income. So how you draw down your 401ks or IRAs while you are delaying Social Security, that can accidentally trigger these massive premium spikes. It is all this interconnected web.
Which is exactly why piecemeal decisions lead to disaster.
Yeah.
You really need a comprehensive sequence of actions to navigate these timelines without triggering penalties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to prevent everyone from feeling totally overwhelmed by these traps, the sources distill all this complexity into a concrete 5-step action plan.
Let's hear it.
Step 1 is the foundation. Open a My Social Security account at sa.gov.
Very important.
Stop relying on internet rules of thumb or generic magazine calculators. You need to look at your actual projected benefits based on your specific earnings history.
Right. And step 2 involves auditing that history.
Checking for errors.
Exactly. Check your earnings record for errors. Because Social Security calculates your benefit based on your highest 35 years of earnings.
35 years.
Right. So if an employer failed to report a year in, say 1998, or a digit was entered wrong, that missing year acts as a zero.
Oh.
Yeah. And it pulls down your average, permanently shrinking your baseline benefit.
Okay, that's crucial. Step 3 is the survivor conversation.
Like it.
For married couples, sit down with the estimates from step 1. Look at the numbers and honestly ask, if one of us is left living on just the larger of these 2 checks, what do we realistically need that number to be to cover the absolute non-negotiables?
That's a tough but necessary conversation. Step 4 is the earnings test safeguard.
Okay.
If you plan to continue working in your early 60s, physically write down the 2026 earnings test limits.
So that $24,480 if you are under your full retirement age for the whole year.
Right.
And $65,160 in the year you actually reach FRA.
Yes. Tape those numbers to your monitor so you don't accidentally forfeit your benefits by earning too much.
And step 5, consult a qualified professional.
Always a good idea.
Bring in a financial advisor, a CPA, or speak with the folks at the SSA directly.
Right.
Because we are talking about a permanent choice dictating hundreds of thousands of dollars over a few decades.
Exactly. Have a professional review your specific tax situation, your spousal dynamics, and your Medicare timeline before you finalize anything.
What I love about this list is how reassuring it is. None of these 5 steps require making a permanent binding choice today.
That's true.
They are purely about gathering the right armor before going into battle.
I agree. While Washington absolutely has systemic funding issues it needs to fix eventually, the single greatest threat to an individual retiree's benefit is just an uninformed, irreversible decision made at the kitchen table on a random Tuesday.
Yeah.
You spent 40 years earning this benefit. Taking a few weeks to map out exactly how to claim it is just fundamental stewardship of your own life's work.
Beautifully said. But before we wrap up, there is a totally fascinating, unmentioned thread hidden in step 2 that I want to pull on.
Let's pull it.
Because it completely shifts how we view working in retirement. We noted that your benefit is calculated using your highest 35 years of earnings, right?
Yeah.
And that any missing years act as zeros, pulling down your average.
It's a rigid mathematical formula. 35 years is the denominator.
So consider someone who took like a decade off to raise children.
Okay.
Or someone who had massive gaps in employment due to health issues or recessions. They haven't worked a full 35 years.
Wait, they have some zeros on their record.
What if taking a fun, low-stress part-time job in their early 60s wouldn't just provide some current spending money?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
They would be literally replacing those zeros on their lifetime government record with actual income numbers.
Yes.
It mathematically forces their baseline benefit higher, which then compounds against their delayed retirement credits and compounds against their annual HOLAs for the rest of their life.
That is a brilliant application of the rules.
Right.
It transforms part-time work from just a simple wage-earning activity into this long-term lever to permanently inflate your structural retirement baseline.
Exactly.
It just shows how understanding the mechanics of the system allows you to manipulate it in your favor, rather than falling victim to its penalties.
It totally rewrites the narrative on the hustle in your early 60s. You aren't just making $15 an hour. You're buying permanent, compounding longevity insurance.
You really are.
The waters around retirement benefits are incredibly murky, folks. The system won't automatically optimize itself for you, and it will actively penalize you if you step out of line.
Very true.
But once you understand the math of the 30% cut, the hidden traps of the earnings test, and the absolute necessity of the Medicare red ink rule,
Right.
you realize you don't need the system to be automatic. You just need the playbook to navigate it yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Next Chapter Retirement Podcast. Please like and subscribe and share this with anyone planning their next chapter. For help navigating Medicare, you can find helpful resources and connect with our team at nextchapterpod.com. Until next time, plan wisely and live fully.